I've been asked to keep this speech very short. There's good reason for it. I'd like to welcome all of you to this new venture on the part of the IAF, and I'd like especially to welcome the guests from the university and from the, how can I put it, the general world, if you like. And yesterday we had a panel discussion in which issues were raised, and today we're looking forward to hearing about various developments, various ventures, various initiatives taken, and so I hope we're looking forward to a very, very instructive and interesting evening. As the Japanese say, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu. Eijou.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to briefly introduce all the speakers and moderators. From right, Jose Otto from Netherlands. She is going to present her research result. And next to the left is Lina Mani de Souza from Tsukuba University. She is a speaker of gender in sports matters. Then in the middle is Kaori Yamaguchi. I think if you are Japanese, everybody knows she is a former medalist. But now she is working at the Tsukuba University also. And at the same time, she is very much active in promoting women's movement in Budo. And next is Ms. Miyuki Kumazawa from Meiji Pharmaceutical University, but she is at the same time part-time Shidoi instructor at an Aikido, and she works a lot for educative side of Aikido at schools. Of course, as a female teacher, she's also prominent. And next is probably, I don't have to even introduce her, I think everybody knows, Micheline Tissier from France. Next is Henrietta Flader, also from France. She's also a candidate of our next DC member, so probably it's better to remember her face. And next to Henrietta is Ms. Wang, Teresa Wang from Taiwan. She's also one of the few female shihans in the world. And every Congress she is always here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. And next is Donatella Lagorio. She's from Italy. I get to know her figure from other people, but what I heard is everything is good about her. So I invited her to be the moderator. So I'm very curious about it. And next to it is Ulrike Oberg. Sorry if I don't pronounce very correctly, but yeah, she's from Sweden. She's the youngest, also the age, but also the grade, but she's very much a capable moderator, I believe. So that is my members. Now I give the host to, yes. Oh, yes. Ms. Riramani de Souza.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do I need the mic?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a pleasure and an honor to be here today and be part of this watershed moment in Aikido.
Could you speak in the mic, please?
You have to hold it in front of you. Otherwise it won't work. I would like to congratulate the International Aikido Federation for hosting this event and for creating this opportunity, not only to discuss about women in Aikido, but also to celebrate their achievements and contributions to the sport. In the run-up to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and so soon after the Rio Olympics, Aikido seems to be taking the lead in Budo sports to keep the topic of equality in sport high on the international sport agenda. So thank you, Professor Goldsberry, thank you, Wilco, and thank you to all of you for your time. My name is Lila de Souza, and I'm currently employed at Tsukuba University at TIAS, Tsukuba International Academy for Sport Studies, which is part of the Japanese Sport for Tomorrow program, which is the biggest program right now in the run-up to the Olympics, and we are supposed to be part of the legacy, education legacy of Sport for Tomorrow. And I'm working there as International Relations Manager. Before that, I worked for 10 years for the International Table Tennis Federation as project manager, and then 5 years for the European Table Tennis Union as youth and development manager. I am also a co-opted member of the International Working Group for Women and Sport, and I have been actively involved in the women and sport movement for over 15 years now. When I started thinking about what I would like to bring to this discussion, I decided to follow some advice from the writer Maya Angelou, who says, in an unfamiliar culture, it is wise to offer no innovations, no suggestions, or lessons. As you can imagine, I'm in very unfamiliar culture. I certainly have no lessons to give, except that I would like to share the experience gained through my involvement in the women and sport movement, and the work I had the privilege of doing at the ITTF, where I had the opportunity to establish the women and sport, the women's development program, and to run it for 10 years. I entitled my talk Gender in Sport Matters because it does, and having the kind of discussions that you have initiated last night and today in Aikido does matter. I guess we all watched the Olympics. Did you watch the Olympics? And I don't know, and Paralympics, and if you followed the discussions around gender. There were several issues that came up. One of them in particular was about the media, the sexism in the media, how female athletes are treated, how male athletes are treated, and that is a big issue. So gender in sport matters. There was discussions about gender testing, I'm wondering if Caster Semenya is a man or a woman, if Katie Ledecky is swimming like a man, so all these things come up in the international women in sport movement, so gender matters. I would also like to share with you how, from being born a feminist, I became an activist for women in sport. Being a feminist came a bit naturally, I think, but being an activist came with awareness and education. I was an elite athlete. I played table tennis for my country, Sri Lanka. I played for my university in Switzerland. And in 1999, I started working for the ITTF, which moved to Switzerland from Hastings in Italy. And in 2001, the president, who was Canadian, said to me, Lila, there's a conference organized by the International Working Group. Why don't you come to Montreal? Oh, great, International Working Group, what's that? And I went to Montreal for this conference. And it was a mind-blowing experience for me. I met with these amazing men and women who were talking about women's issues in sport. I learned about the Brighton Declaration. I suppose everyone has heard of the Brighton Declaration. No? Learned about the Brighton Declaration, which launched the women in sport movement. Heard of Alice Millia. I think the French would know about her. And the Women's Olympic Games. We actually had Women's Olympic Games. Heard of Title IX in the United States, which changed everything for women's sport and college sport in the United States. I heard of the Beijing Platform for Action and CEDAW that have sport in it. And I heard of the IOC targets that had been set in order to try to increase the number of women on the IOC board, as well as on the boards of national Olympic committees and international federations. And of course, they spoke of sport as a basic human right, adopted by UNESCO in the Charter in 1978. And then since then, we have had the Millennium Development Goals that have women and sport in it. We have the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which have empowering women through sport, and the Olympic Agenda 2020, which also has improving conditions for women in sport. I met Billie Jean King, who won the Battle of the Sexes and revolutionized the world of sport, the world of tennis. I had never thought of women and sport like this before. And there I was working for an international federation which had 170 member federations at the time, and thinking, what's happening in table tennis? We need to do something. And I remember telling the president, we need to do something, and he said, you do something. So that's how I became an activist, and I was given the chance to start the Women's Development Program at my federation. Do you recognize someone there?
Thomas Bach.
Thomas Bach. Anything else in the picture? Anyone else in the picture? No? This is Thomas Bach when he went to India last year, and he met with the Indian National Olympic Committee. And this is not because it's India, but this is, this happens all the time. There was not one female athlete or woman invited to this meeting. I'll let you think about that. So, it has been an amazing adventure. I have traveled the world. I was invited to speak at IOC conferences about the program that we were running, at the UN conference, and I was co-opted to the International Working Group, and today here I am with you in Takasaki. But the most important thing was I got to be at the negotiation table, to have the opportunity to create more and better possibilities for girls and women in my sport, and to ensure more inclusive governance within the organization. So very briefly and very quickly, because I can talk about this forever, just to show you what we did with a federation where we started having the same discussions that we had last night. We talked about the same issues, and I think the issues are the same in most boards. And we started looking, we did a survey of the federations. In 2002, no women. Honorary members, 0 women, executive committee, 0 women. In 75 years of existence, ITTF had never had a woman even running for the executive board. And this was an Olympic sport. And the survey was on how many women in National Association boards. Not many, nobody. I think there was one woman. How many national associations bring only a men's team to the World Championships? How many women participate in coaching courses? Very few. We send out coaches into the world, and they have coaching camps, and no women involved in those. Do all countries have a national female coach? No. Sorry to say, even some of the Scandinavian countries had not had a national female coach. International umpires and referees, and the media. How many female accredited media and world events? Nobody knew. So, no women in there. Where were the women in table tennis? So we started with, by distributing the Montreal Toolkit, which is a very, very good document which you can all use if you need to discuss this issue in your club or in your national federation, in your country, if you need to speak to a minister. The Montreal Toolkit is very good, and this was something we distributed to all the national federations. And we started an awareness program by getting all the national federations to sign the Brighton Declaration. And then we created a women's working group. And we started putting in strategies in leadership, for example. We had to reserve, this was discussed for a long time, we had to reserve a post for a woman, and I remember the president saying, this is only for 4 years. After that, it's open to everyone. But since then, we have had 4 women. It just opened the doors. That was it. Inviting more women to the annual general meeting. I don't know how it's done in Aikido, but in table tennis, we have 2 people coming. One is paid fully by the federation, and the second one has to find his or her way. So obviously it's the president and the general secretary, or so it's mostly men. So how do we get more women to come and be part of this? one of the strategies was to pay for 3 nights if the second delegate was a woman, and this increased numbers. But that was only for 3 years, because we were told that would be only for 3 years. So anyway, that was one of the small strategies. We had the constitution change, 25% of all committee members to be women, and that took about 2 years. And we started having our women's forums. We had an international forum at the World Championships, first in Paris in 2003, and then in Qatar, and then in Shanghai. And then it was decided that the international forum was very nice, very good, but we needed to concentrate on the continents, which had specific issues. So we did continental women's forums on all the continents, and all the continental federations had to sign the Brighton Declaration. And then we started concentrating on the athletes, because the athletes are the most important. They're also quite often forgotten. And some of the things that we did, and we really succeeded in, was the first one was to the World Championships, 3 men and 3 women to be taken charge of by the organizers. Before that, it was 5 athletes. So there was a team of 5 men, 5 coaches, 5 everybody was male. So now they had to take in charge 3 men and 3 women. And a good example is from Iran. I don't know if there's anyone from Iran. We were the first to invite Iranian women to come to the World Championships. And they came and they won their category, and they have come ever since. But we paid to get them all, because they never came. We have an athlete education seminar at the Women's World Cup. We had an anti-harassment policy, because we talked yesterday about harassment in sport. We had to address that issue as well, and one of the things we did was to have an anti-harassment policy. We created a women's award, and every 4 years we gave an award to a person or a federation that really did stuff for women. And of course, our biggest success was equal prize money. We were one of the first federations to give equal prize money to our players. And of course, these things didn't happen overnight. We give equal prize money. I think that took about 2.5, 3 years of negotiating and saying, no, where's the money? And in the end, it did happen. Coaching, special coaching camps. We did a lot to increase coaches, because without coaches, it was difficult to get more women involved, talked of role models. And we had 1 coaching course per continent, the Continental Women's Forums. We had a management seminar in Lausanne. And we also gave a financial bonus if 40% of the women, if you organized a course and 40% were women, they would get an additional, I don't know, 500 euro or something like that. So little strategies like that to change things. And this was very successful, because we had a special coaching camp, recruited women from around the world, 10 women, and gave them an ITTF training so that they could go around and give coaching camps as well. We would do 100 coaching camps a year, and only 20 male coaches were traveling around, never any female coaches. So through this program, we got a lot of women involved. Now this is a little picture I put in from Brazil. Any friends from Brazil here? Nobody? We went, I had just come back from Brazil, and we visited a lot of schools, and I saw judo everywhere. And this is a nice picture, because they had a picture of Jigoro Kano on the wall as well. They love judo, but I didn't see any Aikido, so next time I go to Rio, I'd like to go and see some Aikido as well. Umpires and referees, so many things that we had to do, because we couldn't get umpires to come, women umpires to be nominated by the national federations. But I was very happy to see that at the Rio Games, the finals of the men's team final, where Japan almost beat China, there was a woman and a man umpiring, and this didn't happen overnight. This is something that we had to fight for. Media and marketing, we had to do a lot of things, improving the image of our players. Clothing, some issues are probably, not for you, but we found out that in England, for example, girls went out of the sport at a certain age because the clothing was not cool enough. So we had a discussion with the manufacturers and started, making cool clothes for girls, things like that. Reserving a scholarship, a media scholarship for a woman for the World Championships, creating a special website page only for girls and women, etc. And of course the management seminar for women. So, I don't know if my 15 minutes is enough. If we wish to see a different world of sport in the future, we need to start doing something different today. I would like to just end by inviting all of you to come to the 7th IWG World Conference on Women and Sport in Botswana in 2018. The one I went to was really fantastic for me, so I encourage all of you to come and be part of it in 2018. I'd like to end by saying, quoting another favorite author of mine from Africa, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who says, "Culture does not make people, people make culture." If it is true that the full humanity of women is not our culture, then we can and must make it our culture. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kaori Yamaguchi. When I was young, I was doing judo. So if I was talking about my career, I take long time. So I just say I was playing judo. So my English is not very good, so he will help. 大丈夫ですか？今日は、武道とジェンダーということでお話をさせていただきます。
Today I'd like to talk about Budo and Gender.
ただ武道というとたくさんの種目があるんですけども、私は柔道をやっていたので柔道のことでお話をさせていただきます。
Budo covers a wide range of disciplines. I come from judo, so I'd like to talk specifically about judo.
私が柔道を始めたのは1970年。
I started judo in 1970.
その頃は女性の柔道の試合が禁止されていたので、柔道をやる女性も非常に少なかったです。
At that time, there was no competition for judo in Japan. It was prohibited. And so not very many women or females were practicing judo then.
ですから私が初めて通った道場は、男の子の中に女の子が一人だけでした。
So the dojo I was practicing at, there was only one woman, myself.
それから、私が13歳の時に、試合が始まりました。
When I was 13, Japan started to hold competitions for women.
男の子としか試合をしたことがなかったので、女の人と試合をするのは初めてで、とても緊張しました。
Up until that point, I'd only ever done competition against other boys, so I was actually very nervous to have to go into competition and fight girls.
その後、世界選手権、オリンピックが、始まりました。
After that, the first World Championships for women and then subsequently the first Olympic Games, including women judo, were held.
私よりも前に柔道をされていた女性の人たちは、強い人もたくさんいたんですけれども、試合がなかったので実力を発揮できなかったのはとても残念なことだと思います。
There are a lot of women in judo in Japan who were very, very strong before me, but of course they never had the opportunity to participate in competition.
そういう意味では試合がある時に試合が私がプレイヤーとして試合ができたことはとても幸せだと思います。
So I consider myself to have been very lucky to be able to actually participate in competition.
筑波大学に進学をして、そこの道場でも柔道部員全員が男の人で私は女の子一人でした。
I went to Tsukuba University, and when I first entered the university, joined the judo club, there was quite a big male judo club, but I was a single female. I was the only female.
当時は女性の柔道に対しての理解がなかったのか、トレーニングパートナーを、見つけるのがすごく大変で、いつも練習相手がいない状態でした。
At that time, I guess there probably wasn't a great understanding of women's judo, but anyway, I always had a lot of difficulty getting the males, the boys, to train with me.
ですから偶数だと練習相手がパートナーが見つかるんですけど、奇数だといつも余って壁に立ってました。
So what would happen is in the session, if there were even numbers, I was always guaranteed to get a partner. But if there were odd numbers, I always had to go. I was always the one that had difficulty finding a partner.
で、私が練習をしたいんですけども、なかなか練習相手が見つからなくて、ただ良かったのは外国選手が道場に練習に来た時です。
So I was always in a situation where even though I wanted to train, it was very difficult for me to find a partner to train with. However, when foreigners would come to train at the university, it was always very easy to train with them.
外国の選手たちは女性でも練習をしてくれたので、外国選手が道場に来るとすごく嬉しかったのを覚えています。
When the foreigners would come and train, they had no hang-ups training with women, so they were always quite happy to train with me.
外国選手をその時道場で見ていると、外国選手も実は、同じような状況だったと思います。
And in fact, I think even the foreign judo athletes, when they come and train in the dojo, they'd have the same problem. They always found it very hard to find partners to train with.
柔道の場合は、日本はすごく保守的な国ですので、保守的なので、外国人に対しても、外国人だというだけで柔道を知らないとか柔道弱いというイメージがあって、パートナーとして練習しない状況がありました。
So Japan, in terms of judo, Japan's is very conservative, and because of that, when foreigners come and train in Japan, there's always this image of the foreigners. They don't really understand judo. They're not very good at judo, so it was always nobody really wanted to train with them.
ですから女性の問題として、今日はお話をさせていただくんですけれども、武道が、主に日本から、武道が始まってるんですけれども、外の人たちに対して海外の選手あるいは女性に対してとても、排他的排除するようなところがあるような気がします。
So Budo started in Japan, and I guess with foreigners coming to Japan, although tonight's seminar is about gender within Budo, foreigners are very much in the same sort of situation as, for example, females are in Judo Japan. They'd come to Japan and they wouldn't be given the same, wouldn't be treated in the same way, and to a certain extent, both foreigners and females would be kind of excluded in terms of, or would not be easily accepted into the fold, so to speak.
全ての武道がそういったことを乗り越えて世界の人たちとそして女性も含んで発展させていくようにしなければいけないと思います。
So I think that across all types or all disciplines within Budo, we need to work towards a situation where it's inclusive, including females, including regardless of nationality or ethnicity, whatever. We need to work towards creating such an environment.
最近私が一番怒っていることはですね、リオデジャネイロが終わって東京に向かって女子のナショナルチームのヘッドコーチが決まったんですけども、その人が男性でした。
One thing which angers me at the moment is that since the Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games, within Japan in judo, the Japanese women's coach has been replaced, and the replacement is a male coach.
指導者は優秀な人がなればいいとは思うんですけれども、女子にも優秀な人がいるのになぜ男性が選ばれたのかがちょっと連盟と戦っています。
So I think that the most appropriate people, a person, a competent person is fine. So if that's male, female, it shouldn't matter. But having said that, if there are competent females available, then there's no reason they should not all be considered. Nevertheless, the Japanese Judo Federation appointed a male coach.
1988年のソウルオリンピックに女子の柔道が入って、それからリオデジャネイロまで男性女性を、では女性の方が柔道はメダルを取ってます。
So women's judo was first included in the Olympics in Seoul in 1988, and since then, up until the Rio de Janeiro Olympics, within the Japanese judo team, the women have won more medals in judo than the men have.
ですからスポーツの中でも柔道というのは女性が最も、日本のこの保守的な日本だけれども最も活躍している、競技の一つです。
So amongst Japanese sports, judo is one of the most, has one of the better records amongst Japanese sports within the Japanese Olympic teams.
女性のコーチも私を含めて、もう15人ぐらい、ナショナルコーチはしています。
Until now, the Japanese judo team, the women's judo team has had, the women's coaching staff, the Japanese judo coaching staff has included 15 women, including myself.
ただヘッドコーチだけは男でなきゃダメだというよくわからない状況になってます。
However, there's always been this attitude that the head coach must be male.
実績でも女性の方が上だし、指導力でも女性と男性変わらないのになぜ男性を選ばなきゃいけないのかが謎です。
In terms of contest results, that women are achieving more than men. In terms of instructional coaching competency, the men and the women are evenly matched, and yet there's still not been an appointment of a female head coach.
柔道はどうしても戦うスポーツなので、強いっていうことがすごくやはり重要で、マッチョな男性たちはやっぱり女性に対して少しちょっと低く見ているところはまだあるかなと感じています。難しいね。頑張って柔道は戦うので強い人の方が偉いっていうふうに、だから男性と女性で比べると男性の方が偉いってやっぱり思っていると。
So judo is a fighting sport, and I guess there's this image of the stronger fighter, or the stronger person is a better person.
柔道を作ったのは加納治五郎先生です。
So judo, the founder of judo is Jigoro Kano.
加納治五郎先生はとても進歩的な考え方、新しいことをやろうとした人です。
Jigoro Kano was a very forward-thinking person.
加納先生は女性にも早くから柔道を、習わせました。
He believed that he encouraged women to, from a very early point, to get involved in practicing judo.
柔道について言えば、加納先生はとても新しいことを取り入れた人なのに、今の柔道の先生たちを見るととても保守的な人が多いんです。
So Jigoro Kano was a very forward-thinking person. He encouraged new ideas. He introduced new ideas into the sport. However, the people in judo today tend to be very conservative in their thinking.
柔道を含めて武道は伝統的なことをすごく大事にしていかなければいけないとは思っています。
So Budo, including judo, needs to protect its traditions, I guess.
ただ武道も柔道も今の時代に合った伝え方や教え方を考えていかなければいけないと思っています。
However, judo and other Budo disciplines do need to think about how they, in today's world, they present this, but how they teach.
日本だけでやっていた時と男性だけでやっていた時と今国際化して女性も入ってくるのではやはり変えていかなければいけない。
So it's gone from a situation, it's not a case of just teaching men, it's not a case of just practicing in Japan, it's moved from there to including women, including other cultures. And we need to move, the sport needs to move, or the disciplines need to move in time with that.
加納治五郎先生はいい言葉をたくさんメッセージとして残しています。
Jigoro Kano left a lot of important sayings.
ただその言葉を私たち、指導者が生徒に自分の言葉でどう伝えるのかがすごく大事だと思います。
How we as instructors pass those messages or sayings on to our students is very important.
ですから全ての指導者が、そういう気持ちを持って伝統を大事に、そして新しい人たちや新しい考え方を大事にしていくことが武道にとっては大事だと思っています。
So I think it's important to, in addition to passing on the traditions, to also pass on the new ideas, new ways of doing things as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, speakers, for bringing the topic of gender equality to life in your presentations. My name is José Otte, and I'm a doctor in behavioral sciences in the Netherlands. I'm also a student, lifelong student of this Aikido art. I'm very thankful for getting the opportunity to combine two things in life, research and Aikido, and combine these with the gender equality theme, which to me is a very relevant theme at this moment. I have prepared a presentation, and you will see some pictures of the people that I interviewed. I was very fortunate to attend the 2016 Women in Sport Congress in Stockholm, and I became very inspired by the different research stories that were shared there. And after that, we talked about what would these themes that were talked about, what would they be applicable to Aikido? Wilco Friesman then invited me to do a preliminary research in the Netherlands, and I've interviewed 13 female Aikidokas. They were all high-ranked Aikidokas, teaching. And I have also looked for some numbers. Numbers are important, I just learned. In the Netherlands we have... yeah, you're right. Yeah, wow, thank you. The Aikido men in the Netherlands are 2685, and the female 955, which is like a quarter of that. The unknown is they haven't said what they are, right? So database. Okay. So I would like to see hear some numbers from your country. So do you know the percentage of women doing Aikido in your country or in your dojo? And would you like to share it? Can I hear some people just shout? Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Sweden is 33.2%.
Wow. Thank you. Okay. Yes. Finland?
Finland has also the same percentage.
Yeah. Nice. Good. Okay. Yes.
Australia 20.
20%. Yes. Over there. Yes.
Less than
14% in Morocco. Okay, still very good. Yes, yes. Norway. Yes.
Oslo has
35%. 35%. Okay. Ah, this is nice. Yes. Yes.
In Chile, South America, there's 30%.
30%. 30% women.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good. Okay. So this was a small tour around the world, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Very, very good. Okay. These are the names of the women that I interviewed. And I have put Francesca as the first one because she is the oldest woman I interviewed. She is in her 70s. All of these women are teachers, and some of them have their own dojo. And it was just a thrill to talk to them and hear their stories. I will show you the questions that I asked. These are not typical research questions. The method that I'm using looks at what gives life, what gives you energy. So I asked them to describe their 3 greatest accomplishments, and I asked them what gives energy in Aikido. And I asked them about their personal Aikido vision. And I also asked them, if everything was possible, what would you like to contribute to Aikido? And then the 3 wishes question. This is really great type of question. And what does female leadership in Aikido looks like for you? I will show you some of the outcomes. And you can see, so, there are all questions. So the outcome is not yet a decision or a solution to anything. No, the women were asking, is there a feminine and a masculine side on Aikido? Now, what do we mean by that? I'm always saying it is like there is day and there is night, and there is summer and there is winter, and there is east and there is west. So is there a feminine and a masculine side to Aikido? The second question that came out is, how can we interest young girls to the art of Aikido? The next one is, how can we interest more women to become teachers? And then there was the question, how do we get more women into leadership positions in dojo, national and international level? Now, if you think that my presentation is gonna last until the end of this seminar or this congress, then no. We're gonna ask you to work with us. We're going to do some fun stuff. So I'm going to break up in groups, 4 groups, and we're going to work on these questions. Okay? This is the timing. And I will tell you how we're going to do this. Just going to go back to the 4. So Lilamani is going to count the people. Yes? Yes?
Up to 4 I can count.
Yes. So she will point to you and she will give you a number. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember the number. Okay? Because it means you're in group 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes? There is a purpose behind this. Huh? So don't worry. Okay? Then we have all these beautiful women sitting there who are our moderators, and they will each have a group that they moderate. Now what will they do? They will help you to have a discussion amongst you in the group, and we will provide you with post-it notes and pens, and there are some boards, so there's one over there, there's one over there. And we will make sure that you can write here as well. But we can also use tables for that. And we would like to invite you to talk amongst you about the topic of the theme that the group that you're in. Okay? So you cannot choose the theme. You just have to, become really creative. And my experience is that if you start talking about these kind of things, new ideas pop up and, it will go gradually. Now, at the end, and you, let me see. Oops, sorry. I didn't want to do that. At 2040, we will all come back here. And we will have a conclusive session. So the moderators will tell us all what comes out of the groups. Okay? Now, as soon as Lila has come to you and have given you your group number, you can go and find your group.
Short time, I think you have the same sensation too, but this can mean also that it's interesting work, because if you feel it's a short time, it's because it's interesting. And we have this idea about how to attract the young girls in the dojo, and was very interesting the idea, I try to be short. Now, not when I started because I'm old, but now girls and everybody has the possibility to contact Aikido from the media, from the telephone, for example, picture and video and notes. And so one of the ideas that comes out is how to improve a good language, good imagery, good, good words, adatte più che adequate words, adequate imagine, that also can be important. No? When you see something on the telephone, you search for Aikido, what do you see? And this is something that an international federation or working people together can really sustain. No? When we prepare some promotional events, when we prepare some also movie or little video or little spot or Takasaki events, and look what is in and what also girls and women, young women can find. This generally speaking. And then when they come in a dojo, that's the reality of every week and night, what they find in terms of atmosphere, as you say, you talk about atmosphere, you talk about the environment, and that's a fantastic word. Mindset, environment, atmosphere. And this is not only a question of having a female teacher, okay, that could be the best in some case, but it's a concern also male teachers. What kind of atmosphere, people, first of all, and in this case of our question, girls can find. And this is about the preparation, about really the work that every teacher can do, should do with this Aikido journey. It's never finished, no? And really, these days, I didn't expect to hear so many times the word sport, because I'm an Aikido practitioner. So it's the first time that in Aikido events I heard so many times the word sport. I understand why, but I'm also a little bit, and also I say every day, someone saying, but we are not competitive. So I hope that this idea, we are not competitive, is really deeply understood by everyone, especially teaching people. So when there is no competitive at all, we are not competitive really deep inside us, also the atmosphere immediately changes. And so people can stay, as the German guy who suggested that people can stay and create community, like in his dojo that is led by his partner. People comes, girls comes and create community, society, and good groups. And so this is what I think our group is. Okay.
Which group is
For our group, it will be Paula, who is going to present our results.
Thank you. I volunteered to write and now I'm speaking, so. Yes, life is very strange. So, our group's topic was whether is there a feminine and masculine side in Aikido, and how does that affect participation. One of the first ideas that came up and most of the people agreed with is that feminine and masculine are not actually related to men and to women, but are more like related to individual issues, characteristics, qualities that different people may have. So there are some differences between approaches, but actually Aikido is both soft and strong. And men were the ones agreeing that women are strong, they give life, they suffer pain, while men are very good in going to wars and dying there. So what actually was underlined is that we are all feminine and masculine. We all have different qualities that can be related more towards the masculine or towards the feminine. And actually the problem begins when we start to separate these issues, because we are all both. What can happen is that we can choose human qualities towards which we want to aspire. So women may want to get stronger or to be able to express in a better way their strength, while men may choose to become softer in their expression of inner strength. So actually what is important is the balance, and Aikido is about that balance, and it's an individual thing. Each person should and would find their own way between feminine and masculine. We had a very interesting view about how the masculine and the feminine in Aikido can be viewed as the masculine side, that Aikido is very, very dangerous, while the feminine side of Aikido is that we can learn Aikido in a very safe way, in a soft and safe way. What is important, and it affects a lot participation, is the need, the requirement that we say the truth from the beginning. Aikido is Budo. So this would avoid any disappointments both men or women may have related to what they would learn or what they will get from the Aikido practice. In the end, we concluded that instructions and the presentation of Aikido to potential students depends a lot on individuals. And the fact that nowadays we still have a need in dojos to build women's confidence is also changing, because the society is changing, and the girls nowadays are already confident and don't need all that support. From a social point of view, the motherhood is very important for the women's presence in the dojo, because they need to have time for children, for all the family, all they have to do, so that's something to be considered. In the end, we, the women in our group, agreed that we as women want and we should be treated the same as men. There should be absolutely no difference in the approach of the sensei towards their students. Thank you.
So, on behalf of Micheline, I will be the rapporteur of the group, so I try to deliver you some key messages. Well, I have to confess that we just have time to make an overview of the situation and to collect the ideas. So our question was to bring some leadership for women. So it seems that for some countries, like the Netherlands, for example, it seems to be a non-issue, I would say, because women belong to the board committee at the beginning. Men seems to be quite open for that. And in the same line, we can say that it's maybe a question of generation. So maybe it's a generational issue. Because now it seems to be more natural to have women in the boarding committee, while it was probably rare or more rare in the past. But in other countries, like Romania, for example, there was no women at the beginning. So what they did is to create classes, especially for women, and just to attract people. And these classes, Aikido classes, well, the label was self-defense for women. And it was important, at least for this first step, just to attract people and then to explain later on what Aikido is about. And indeed, some women were embarrassing at the beginning of Aikido when you start to roll, etc. Sometimes it's embarrassing for them to make ukemi when men are looking at them. So it was a good idea, but then it was also important to shift from this beginner's class, well, women's exclusive, to mixed classes, and well, to open and to broaden, of course, the scope of the class. There was other ideas like, well, the leadership finally, what is attractive in the leadership? Well, it is the success, let's say, and it is the same, whatever the gender. So showing women, of course, but showing men, showing people who have succeeded is, of course, a good way to inspire other people. Another idea coming from Poland, if I remember well, it's maybe to give the classes, the instruction of the classes, not only to the top instructors, but also to other people in order to give them some responsibilities. In the same line, we had another testimony. It is also to give responsibility, to share responsibilities in the dojo, so that we can invite people finally to endorse some roles, so including women. This is a way to well, to let's say have more leadership in women. And well, there is a general comment from Norway, the fact that the issue in taking leadership is generally a matter of time, whatever the gender, because we have, of course, our professional life, our private life, and it's very difficult sometimes just to take the leadership of something in a dojo or in a federation. There was a last suggestion, but it's probably difficult to capture all the points. It was to bring leadership to an international level, and there was a kind of a recipe, I think. I'm looking for the man who explained me that. Around three words: representations, resources, and real world. Is it true? So representations is about the election, of course, how we elect the members, the resources, of course, how much we allocate, and the real world. I think the world analysis is it to check, to verify if the recipe is fit for purpose, something like that. Well, that were the ideas of the group. It was too short, unfortunately, to draw the conclusions. But, okay.
Thank you. Do you want to come here? Yes.
Right. The group that I was with were talking about how to interest more women to become teachers and instructors. We began with a quick poll just to see how many of the local dojos actually had female instructors. The results varied, obviously, from null to about 80%. The average seemed to be about 1/3, which seemed to be the case of membership in general. So that's not too bad, but is that really where we want to be? I think we want to be better than that. So we spoke about several things. One of the things we spoke about was what we can do to actively encourage the women, specific actions. Australia had a lovely example of a mentoring program where you get women together to teach, creating a group support system as a first step to becoming instructors on their own. Another first step mentioned, I think by Romania, was becoming teachers for children. Sometimes that's an easier first step to take than teaching adults. Something we can do for instructors in general is make sure they're all educated on how to be instructors. Again, this is coming from several countries, Sweden and Australia. It's a good thing that male instructors as well as females are instructed in how to properly be good teachers. Paparazzi everywhere. All right, back to the topic. We talked about other things we can do in general. Making women visible is one of those things that we can do both as male and female instructors. How you use your uke, for instance. Do you use female ukes if you're a male instructor? Yes, that's good. Maybe make sure that you use them 50-50 to make sure that women are visible, and therefore first step to becoming an instructor. And it's also inclusive, showing that it is possible. I think we also discussed some of the things that you have mentioned in your groups, time being an issue, not gender, in becoming an instructor. I think I will leave it at that, a summary of what we discussed.
Yeah, we're being really creative here. Huh? So while you guys were having these great conversations, I stumbled upon, I was talking to Kay Weiser, and he was telling me about the directors' committee that happened this afternoon, and there were some things that they talked about related to the gender equality, and I would like to invite him to tell us about that. Is that okay?
Yes, I'll be very brief. Good evening. Good evening. I'll be very brief. One of the things that we think we do understand is that there has to be some institutional push from the males, because the current directing committee is dominated by males. So if we don't take action, we cannot create the ambience, the environment. And I think we have done several things so far, but we have certain tools that perhaps are not fully utilized, and we can put to good use for the females, so that they can go forward. You can go forward. One of the first things came to mind is that we already have a website that attracts a lot of traffic, and easily, even tomorrow, we can start a separate channel for focusing on the issue of gender equality. So we need content, we need your ideas. It's not going to be produced by men, but it would be lovely if we can solicit the support of females to produce the content you wish to use to promote. Another thing is that there are many countries that have senior instructors, female instructors, but we can use the same web to promote the events, to make it more national or regional, so that more female instructors can get to see and exchange the training with advanced people. And this is something that I cannot decide alone, and needs to be decided more in the next directing committee. But perhaps before the next Congress starts, half a day or so of female instructor training course together with the seminar, so that you can use that to attract more of the female instructors from all over the world to come and share the moment, share the experience, and get to know and network. And that will be something that I can assume that can trigger new interesting moves among the women instructors. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucy. I was asked to wrap up, to sum up, but I don't think that's necessary, because I think the facilitators already did that very well, and we have run out of time. But some things also with what you just said bring three things to mind. I think that now women in Aikido have a voice, and you have to keep using that voice. The next step is that you need a face, which means that you have to be up here and show your face and be recognized. And we talked about time. There was no time. If we let you speak, you'll be speaking till midnight today, because there is such a lot to talk about and a lot to do. So I was thinking that putting this together, I thought of one recommendation to the International Federation. I don't know if you agree, but from what I know and what I've seen, what I've heard, I would like to suggest that to continue this conversation and to put some women out here, because you have some fantastic women out here on a wonderful journey, is to maybe create a working group or a think tank that would meet, that would think about these issues and come up with solutions for Aikido. If you agree, I don't know if the IAF will support that, which means you need to put some money. You need to, it's not only just yes, we need women, it means finances, and you need to, if you agree, that could be one of the steps for you to move forward with. Thank you very much for letting me be part of this wonderful moment. But I have one last thing that I would like to do from me. I also have a wish. I think you have all seen this doll. This is a very, very interesting, interesting doll, and the explanation is wonderful. Where is that? It's a traditional handmade Japanese wishing doll, or known as the goal doll. It's a very old tradition of Japan, and there are some steps. Decide on a specific goal you're determined to achieve. draw one of the Daruma's blank eyes to signify your commitment to achieving that goal. Place Daruma somewhere visible in your home or office so that while he focuses on your goal, you will be reminded of it at the same time. And once you've achieved your goal, draw in Daruma's other eye to say thank you. So my wish is that this grows into something very big and takes all of you on a wonderful journey. I would like to ask Professor Goldsberry to come and draw the eye. Yeah. And I have a pen.
I need my glasses. I might always in the wrong place.
And maybe you have to pass it on to the next chairman to keep in his office so that he's reminded of it. And maybe in 4 years' time, you can see if you need to draw the other eye or not.
How do I? Thank you. Right or left?
Right,
Doesn't
you.
matter.
Is there a right or left? Doesn't matter. Thank you. Thank you so much. To the next chairman so that he doesn't forget the commitment.
The problem is that we haven't had any elections yet, and so I have no idea who will be the next chairman. However, there are two candidates who are sitting together, so it's a very easy thing to give it to both of them.
Okay, wonderful.
This has been a very intense learning experience. We planned this at the directing committee meeting in Romania 2 years ago, and we've had a lot of conversation, a lot of planning, and one thing that we did, we were told to do, leave it to the women to decide how they would like to organise this, which we did. And so it's interesting that last night we had a panel discussion which was sponsored by the IAF Australia, and tonight we have a different forum sponsored by the Dutch Aikido. And so we have been given lots of homework, and we will try and do our best to do that homework in the next 4 years. Thank you very much indeed, both of you, all of you, for coming along.